Hey y'all, what up? It's your girl SINI, aka In This Is In This, the Speaker 29. Oh my god. Bringing you motivational, inspirational, and encouraging videos the 29th of every month for the next 6 months. Yes, yes. So today, the topic that I want to speak about is one that is very close to my heart and very necessary to speak about, and that is race. We've been getting a lot of coverage in the media recently with the police brutality cases that have been happening, the number of shootings, which has not been anything new. It's been happening for centuries, but now the media is covering it to a certain extent, finally. And so the reason I wanted to speak about this in my video today is because it's very necessary for our generation to speak up and speak out about these issues of race, of discrimination, of segregation. And the reason I have to speak about this today is because I have a perfect example. A couple months ago, actually, when I was in grad school, I bumped into this lady at the mall. This was when I had come home for break, for Christmas break. And I bumped into this lady. She's an elder from my church, actually. She's this Indian woman. And she's like, oh, what are you doing now? Aren't you studying somewhere in the Midwest? I'm like, yeah, I am. She's like, where are you studying? I said, I'm studying in Missouri. And she said, oh, Missouri. Isn't that where all those crazy protesters are? Question mark. I'm like, what? I'm like, there are protesters in Missouri, yes. And she's like, yeah, those crazy protesters. Like, what are they even doing in the streets? Like, why are they doing that? And I'm just like, question mark. Question mark. First of all, it was very clear that she had no idea what was going on in Missouri, in Ferguson. The second issue is that she clearly thought all the protesters were crazy, which would mean that I'm crazy too. The third issue was that you're a person of color and you're not standing up for yourself, which is another question mark. I just don't get it. But the reason I needed to speak about this is because there is a huge population within this country and a huge there are a number of groups within also the millennial generation with it, which is our generation, that somehow feel that we are immune to issues of race and segregation and discrimination, which is not true. The Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964, which is 50 years and a couple months since that was passed. So to think that 50 years would erase or somehow solve all the racial issues within this country after centuries of slavery, impossible. No, that's not what's happening. We do not live in a post-racial age. And the reason we need to speak up as people of color is because it's an issue that affects us very directly. And again, I say this all the time. It's one thing when the attacker shows a blind eye or ignores the situation altogether, but it's a whole nother monster when your very own doesn't acknowledge that there is a problem that is affecting them. And so I will speak in particular to the Indian community. We, a lot of times, as particularly as a xenophobic culture, we think that we are immune because we're not, quote, black, or we're not, quote, Latino, or we're not, quote, Muslim, which is not the case at all. And I think that in our generation, we do think that there is, I would just say in general, there's a lack of there is a level of apathy that cannot be, it's just really just going like this. Like, no one's Some people are just not getting it. They're not with the program. And the reason that we need to speak up and speak out about these issues is because there are issues that directly affect us. These are issues that directly affect us. And one of those examples is, we all know Pravin Verghese, about his death. And that case in itself was not a police brutality case, but the details surrounding his death and the investigation itself is very questionable. I know his family had to hire a private investigator to get more details about his passing. Another example is the Patel grandpa who came from India to visit his family in Alabama. Literally, this man was walking in broad daylight. And two police officers stop him. A police officer literally leaves him, a white cop literally leaves him paralyzed, partially paralyzed, literally for walking on the street, on the sidewalk in broad daylight. So to think that these issues, that we are immune to these issues, is absolutely ridiculous. It is just absolutely, it's just nonsense. It is. And so if we as people of color are not responding to the very issues that affect us, there is no one that can speak for anything. I mean, there are people literally losing their lives out there. And if we don't speak up, then who does? No one will. And so I think that if you are a person of color, not I think, but if you are a person of color, you need to be out there protesting. You need to be out there engaging in dialogue with others who don't understand anything about the issue. You need to be spreading that knowledge. You need to be starting those dialogues at the very core within our families, within our friend circles, our social circles, within our academic settings, or else nothing will change. Again, issues of race and discrimination is not anything new, but if this is not something that you have been talking about, it is something that you need to speak up and speak out against, because it is an issue that affects you directly, and it is an issue that affects our communities directly, very so much in the fact that people will lose their lives. And it's just so necessary. It is necessary to speak about these issues, and we have a responsibility, especially for those who have come before us and paved the way for us to even be able to participate in this society. All that they've done, we have a responsibility to continue and take that baton and continue forward, march forward, so that people are not suffering from these injustices. And a lot of times within this generation, we don't speak up. We're like, oh, I'm gonna get mine and keep it moving, as if all that matters is ourselves, which is not true at all. So this video is a call to action. It's a reminder that as a person of color, it is our responsibility to speak up and speak out. And if you notice someone, or if you see something that is out of lines, then you need to have a dialogue about it. You need to check people, and you need to also correct people who are being false in their thinking. And it just goes to show how much racism has intrinsically affected our psychology, because even with the whole debate among different races within communities of color, and one of us thinking we're better than the other, or we're we have more privileges than the other because of this, that, and the third, because of economic levels, or even within our own races, to have those discrepancies is that's a psychological effect of centuries of racist behavior and thinking. And if that goes unchecked, again, we continue to diminish as a society. So this is a call to action for all of those people out there. If you have a consciousness, use it. And if you have a conscience, and if you actively pursuing the height of that consciousness, use it and speak up, speak out, because we need it. And that is the video for today. I will be making more videos on race, about race issues, and I hope you guys tune in because it's something that we all need to continue speaking about persistently. Deuces.